Good morning, guys. Happy Thursday. So, moving on along, I want to show you something here because you guys have asked about this before. Remember those test lettuce and test cabbage that we were doing out in the greenhouse back in January? This is one of the lettuce. Okay. Brought it in, first time it's seen outside the garage since yesterday. Been eating off of them. We got 4 of those. Working really well. Had to make some room because we got boatloads of seed starts in there, and we're starting to get into transplanting into solo cups. Things are getting bigger, which is a good thing. What I want to talk about this morning is the fairy tale of bugging out. You know, I've mentioned many times that preppers have a tendency to romanticize Armageddon, SHTF, the end of the world, whatever it is, with the thoughts of, oh, I'm going to sit on my front porch with a cup of sweet tea in hand and a shotgun by my side and just watch the world collapse from the comfort of my porch. Okay. Bugging out is along the same lines. And I'm not saying 100% of the time, but probably 98% of the time. Carissa sent me an interesting email yesterday that said she has friends that are preppers that live up north and figure that being up north is probably going to be a safer place to be than being down south because, gee, when the balloon goes up, you know, all those northerners are going to move down south and that'll leave more resources for the people that stay up north. There's logic to that. I'll give you that. People are going to go, hell with this. I'm getting out of the cold. You know, I need somewhere where I can grow food or do whatever. There's couple of big problems with this, all right? And I can kind of speak to this because I've lived in quite a few different places. You can tell by listening to me, I'm not a native Tennessean. Don't have the southern accent. You know, it was the same thing when I lived in Boston. You could tell I wasn't from Boston. I didn't have that New England accent or anything like that. You know, pick something. You're up in Minnesota, you guys have an accent, or you're down in Texas and y'all have an accent, whatever it would be. It's pretty easy to tell who's a local and who's not as soon as you open your mouth. But there's a lot more to it. So let's kind of go through this. There's a coronal mass ejection that's supposed to hit the world tomorrow, all right? So let's hypothetically say that it's enough to knock out, you know, it's a Carrington event. It knocks out the power across the world or whatever it would be. You know, last time we had one of these, I guess it took out something like 40 of Elon Musk's Starlink satellites, knocked them out of orbit or something like that. There'll be some activity on this tomorrow. Who knows where it hits. But let's just say, for example, it wipes out the power to the world. And people go, okay, I'm going to bug out. Now, I want you to think about this. 335 million people are all going to experience that at the same time, first off. You think the roads might be a little packed if everybody goes, oh my God, I've got to get out of the city, or I'm going to grandma's house out in the woods, or whatever it would be. Yeah, okay, so there's the first little problem. What you get into bigger problems is this. And let's just, again, use something, same thing, Carrington event or whatever. And let's take my daughter who lives in Indiana, and she's going to come down here. Okay, just Indiana to Tennessee. Not a huge long trek. I mean, it's a 8-hour drive from Fort Wayne down to Sharps Chapel. Let's say she doesn't know me or whatever, and her plan is to go south. When she gets here, who does she know? Nobody. Okay. Where does she have to go? In her case, she'd have this house to go. But if your plan is to get out of the city and you have no property or whatever already established, where do you go? You're now a refugee running around in the streets. Okay, you don't have a place to sleep, a place to grow, anything like that. So what are your plans? I'm just going to go and hope that the goodness and kindness of people will take me in? Right. Okay. In an SHTF situation, people are going to suck together real quick, communities. You either know the people or you don't. You go into a strange area that nobody knows you, you are not going to be welcomed with open arms. Okay? Simple as that. You are not going to have a safe place to sleep. You are not going to have food. Nobody's going to go, hey, here, stranger, let me share my dinner with you. Or, hey, here, stranger, here's a cup of water. It's not going to happen. Okay? There is going to be chaos in the streets, right? Law enforcement is going to be completely overwhelmed. So if they're even not abandoning their post and going home to take care of their family, there is going to be nobody to call. There aren't going to be any services to go get. Right? Again, we're talking SHTF situation and people trying to get on the move. The only way a bug out location is even feasible, I mean, not even a good idea, is even feasible, is if you already own a piece of property somewhere, you already have a structure in place there, and have the structure of that place to sustain you. Meaning, you already have your building built, okay? You already have the ground worked or whatever so you can grow whatever food. You already have the infrastructure of that piece of property to get you water or power or anything like that you need. You're not going to wind up going as a nomad somewhere and go, hey, I'm going to turn into a squatter. Here's a plot of land that I'm just going to move onto it. Your life expectancy is probably less than a couple of days. Okay? And you're certainly not going to be able to provide any food. Oh, I'll go hunting. Famous last words of the, I think I'm a prepper, right? You know, you and 335 million other people are all doing that same thing. How long do you think Bambi's going to last, all right? What are you going to cook Bambi on? How are you going to clean Bambi? What do you have? I mean, you pull it out on the back of your truck and go, okay, I'm going to clean Bambi here and we're eating tonight. Great. How are you going to store the rest of it? Okay. Oh, I just killed a deer. I got 400 pounds of meat. We ate 6 pounds of it. Great. What do I do with the other 394 pounds? Oh, it'll rot. Okay, that's it. Bugging out is something that preppers and everybody romanticize. It's not realistic. You know, if you haven't already gone to that property that you have somewhere else and built that infrastructure, got to become part of the community. I mean, if you're only a temporary part of the community, that's fine. Hey, you know, I've got a weekend place somewhere. Okay. You've got a place. There is some infrastructure already set up there. You've met other people in the community. You're going to show up and they're going to know who you are. That's a possibility. How many of y'all own 2 houses? Just saying. Okay. You know, oh, I'm going to go out and camp in the woods. Right. Okay. Sure. You know, around here at least, there are wolves, bears, mountain lions. Good luck camping in the woods. Okay. You know, let alone all the deers and the skunk and the possums and the raccoons and whatever it would be. Okay. But the ones that'll eat you are there. So, what is your real plan to be? Your real plan should be making where you are now your fortress, because that's, chances are, where you're going to stay. Now, are there reasons why you may have to leave? Sure. Okay, absolutely. And again, this is why community is so important. amongst us, and why I've mentioned many times about, oh, I don't know, going over on freesteading and meeting other people in the local area, say Tennessee, or, for me, Tennessee, or maybe Southern Kentucky or anything like that. Somewhere I can go if the forest goes up on fire, if the Chinese come over the hill. Somewhere I can go where somebody is going to take me in, because the chances of me knocking on a door somewhere and going, "Hi, I'm hungry, will you help?" and somebody saying, "Sure, come on in," are about the same as we talk about all the time. The answer is no, and the door slams in your face. Bugging out is the absolute 100% last resort. Okay? If you're in a city, I'm sorry, that's it. Okay? In this world right now, living in a city is not prudent. Let's just put it that way. Not saying that you have to go live out in the country, but you need to have somewhere to go, because the cities will be killing zones in an SHTF. That there's no question about that. You think the Portland riots and stuff like that were bad? I mean, that's going to look like a walk through Disney World, all right, in an SHTF situation. It's just going to be, you're going down the street and bang, 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 poof. Okay, let's take whatever that person has. Oh, they have a gun. Oh, they have some cash on them, or some a radio, or whatever it is. I mean, you think all those stories about guys going into convenience stores and bodegas and killing the store owner for a whopping $10, or, oh my God, that's all the guy got out of it. In an SHTF situation, hell, you got a hamburger in your hand, and that's all it's going to take somebody to pick you off. Don't be fooled. Don't be lulled into the false sense of, oh, gee, if something happens, I'm just going to hit the road and head south, or head west, or head whatever direction you want to head. Okay? Chances are all you're doing is setting yourself up for a quicker death than if you actually put the work in and made where you are a stronger, safer place to be. Because where you are now, you have the knowledge of the area, the community that you have, the people that you know. You have the building, whatever resources you already have. Are you willing to give up all of that for the unknown of, I'm just going to walk down the road, or bike down the road, or drive down the road, and say, I'm just going to take my chances? Personally, it ain't a good plan. Just saying. See y'all later. Pinball out.